On this week's show, how to calculate the refurb costs on a Buy Refurbish Refinance property.
In the news, the eviction ban prompts My Property Box to introduce a rent guarantee system.
And we're going to be answering all your property related questions. Hey, I'm Mr. Leeds.
I am Alistair Cunningham.
And welcome to the Property Investors Podcast. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm very good. How are you?
You're stealing my phone.
Yes. Sorry. How are you doing? How are you doing?
What phone have you got?
iPhone.
11?
Yeah, is that 12?
No, it's 11.
Okay.
It's 12.
Do you know the 12 is very much like the iPad Pro? It's got square corners.
Has it?
Actually, I might upgrade, just because it feels nicer in the hands.
Really?
I was at an Apple shop all day and I was playing about with one. It's actually a lot nicer.
Is that because they're new though?
Maybe.
Like would this feel nicer in the hands? If you see, that's one of the reasons.
Do you know one thing I hate about this particular phone?
Go on.
Is it's so slippery in the hand. Because it naturally is a slippery phone, I think. My hands are a bit sweaty at the minute, but normally it's quite a slippery.
Oh yeah, look, it's falling off me everywhere.
No, but you know what I mean. It's because it's a really good case.
See, I always think, I get a phone, I'm like, I don't want to put it in a case.
Yeah,
it feels so nice.
Yeah.
And then you put it in a case. So you getting a new phone, are you going to put your new iPhone 12 if you get one in a case?
I don't know, probably, yeah.
Well, then it won't feel nice anymore, will it? Now it's in a case. Now it feels the exact same as that phone.
Yeah.
I think pretty much, as far as I can see, the only difference on it is the camera.
I think there's a lot of difference. Did you know, I found this out last night, and this is amazing, right?
Go on.
This is so good, right? I never knew this. Right, let me just open my phone up and I'll show you. Okay, so you're going to write a text message, okay?
Is this with a space bar?
Yeah!
I saw the same thing!
You saw it yesterday!
And I had a little play with it, I was like, no way!
So when you start writing,
yeah,
because I've got big hands, okay? And it means I can't, like, if I make a mistake and I want to go back 3 letters, I can't. So if you hold the space bar, you can just pull it along. That is genius.
How do you used to do it? Did you used to click on it like that and then move it?
No, I didn't even know you could do that.
Oh, that's what I used to do.
I literally used to use my big fat fingers and go like that.
And try and click on it.
Try and get it in the right place. I could never get it in the right place. Then I would have to delete half a sentence to get it through.
The only problem with the method that I used to use is that, like, sometimes your finger's in the way and you can't see where you're at. So.
And the other thing, do you know you can do the whole going across the screen and it just taps it in for you.
Like that?
Yeah, that was, Android had that before Apple, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, so I learned that this week.
There you go.
And I didn't know that until I saw that thing yesterday on Facebook or something I can't remember. But anyway, what have you been up to?
So, do you know, since the film last show, what have I been up to? Just chatting to you, pretty much.
Pretty much, because we've not actually left the stage.
Well, no, we're in the same spot. just told the audience to piss off, and then that's it.
Yeah, audience have left.
I was talking to Tony. He's looking at getting a new car earlier.
Okay, what's he looking at?
So he wants to get the GLE, same as me. Can
you not sell him yours, and then you can get the new electric one that you're wanting, the new Tesla?
Maybe.
Okay.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea, maybe, considering. What do you guys think I should do? Do you think I should keep with Mercedes or get a Tesla? Comment below. I'd love to know your thoughts. Anyway, this week's show, so we're going to talk about estimating. Do you know what? I get asked this question all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And to be honest, it's not a question that I'm sure, we'll find out, maybe we will, but I don't think we're going to conclusively answer it on this podcast. It's going to be just some tips and tricks, really. Yeah. But okay, so let's say you are going to a property, and you look around and you think, this is a bit of a state.
Yeah.
Right? Now, you're doing this more than probably anyone I know.
Yeah, probably.
Because you sell a lot of BRR deals as well, right? So what are your tips and tricks for looking out around the property and estimating a build?
It's very, very simple when you've got experience, okay? The biggest thing you got to do is you got to start looking at houses and start actually pricing stuff up, okay? And understand how much things cost, all right? Now,
every time you mention this on Facebook, people always go, oh, you can't go wrong for that. Just so you know. So I'm sure we're going to get that on this. I'm sure people.
We're going to get it on this. I guarantee
we can't get it done for that.
I remember once I done a Facebook video saying I was in a house, one of my houses, and I just had the walls plastered. Actually, the whole downstairs had been plastered, and I can't remember the exact price. So don't quote me, but I believe it was about 450 quid.
So guys, he got it done for exactly 450 quid. Carry on.
And the 450 pound, I put it on Facebook saying, look, I've just had this whole house, downstairs house, plastered for 450 pound. There or thereabouts. Can't remember exactly. It was like 2.5 years ago, and I had so many people messaging me saying, bullshit, you didn't get that done for that. And I'm like, yes, I did. There's the invoice. And people always overestimate prices.
How did you tell them that you had the invoice?
In my head, I went, yeah, there's the invoice. No,
did you actually do it though?
I think I actually put a screenshot of the invoice up eventually because I was getting sick and tired of people saying that you can't get it for that. Now, when I go and view a house, I'm going in there and I'm looking at everything. I'm looking from top to bottom, all the way around, checking things like the electrical system, checking the plumbing system, checking the heating, checking the roof, checking the carpets, checking the floorboards, checking the doors, checking the kitchen, checking the pipework. I'm checking pretty much everything. But how do you know how much things are going to cost if these things need replacing?
Well, before you even get to that, how do you know if things need replacing?
Well, you know good and bad, okay?
Well, so maybe.
You can tell if the carpets need replacing because they're worn out. You can tell if the
that
house needs painted. It's easy, okay?
How can you tell if the electrics need doing?
Right, fine, okay. So, electrical conditions, okay? So, you can have a look, just have a look. Have a visual inspection. Are the faceplates still on? Are they in good condition? Are they old? Are they new? Are they the modern type, or are they like 20, 30 years old with the old flick switches that are dated? It's very easy to tell if an electrical condition system is dated, okay? Next, go to the fuse box.
So let's say it is dated.
Okay, then you're going to have to replace it.
So what does that mean?
It means you're going to have to get an electrician in to replace the units. And check
how much is that going to cost?
Hold on. And check your electrical systems and check the integrity of the electrical system. Okay, so you can go to the electrical box and you can have a look at it. Is it the modern type or is it the old-fashioned type with the push-in fuses? If it's the old-fashioned type with the push-in fuses, it's highly likely you're going to have to change the consumer unit. If you have to change the consumer unit, it's also highly likely that you might have to do a part or full rewire to the property. Now, the cost of that varies depending on the size of the property and the amount of electrical appliances in that property. For instance, if you've got 4 or 5 en suites, power showers, electrical power showers, then obviously that will vary in price compared to having no power showers, okay? Now, I've just had a price for a Buy Refurb Refinance, 3-bed terraced. It's going to be a single let property. To do a full rewire, including consumer unit change, was £3,700, okay? So, I know a full rewire is going to be around about £3,500, depending on the size, could go up to £7,000, £8,000, okay? So what you have to do is you have to be able to say, look, that fuse box is going to need replacing, and I know a fuse box to be replaced is going to be £600 to £700. I also know a rewire is going to be a minimum of £2,000 depending on the size of the project. But you don't need to know an exact price at this point, okay? All you need to know is a rough idea. I also know that on a standard sort of 900 square foot house with 2 or 3 bedrooms, lounge, kitchen, diner, okay, you're going to put carpets in there. You're not going to put the highest end carpet in there that's £25 a square metre. You're going to go for hard wearing, good quality, reasonably cost effective carpet, which will be £7 or £8 per square foot, okay, or square metre. So you can work that out by measuring the rooms. Easy, okay?
Yeah.
Now I know carpets on a sort of a standard 2 up, 2 down, you can get carpets installed with underlay for between £1,000 and £1,200. I also know that for a standard 2-bed, 2 up, 2 down, getting the house painted is not going to cost much more than £1,200, £1,300. Paint, decoration, okay? Well, that doesn't include damage. So if you've got lots of damage, you're going to have to factor in a few more costs for that, okay? But it doesn't mean just because there's a hole in the wall, suddenly you've got to add 500.
You can be creative though, can't you? I remember when we did the eviction.
Yeah.
Obviously season 2 coming soon. But when we did the eviction and we went round, I remember you went round the house and Ricky was there and you were just like, never going to do it. Never. Well, I can't remember what the price was.
He quoted £10,000.
Yeah.
And he done it for, do you remember?
It was under, wasn't it?
2,000.
2,000.
He got a quote. He got a £10,000 refurb, and they done it for £2,000. Watch episode 2 of the original Eviction.
Maybe we could put a link to that, Pav.
Yeah.
Put a link to that underneath.
Yeah. Watch that. And in fairness, they done the work themselves, so they weren't factoring in labour costs. But it was an amazing job. So you can save money. Okay, you just have to be creative. You have to think outside the box. Shop around for your materials. Perhaps join LNPG, which is the Landlord National Purchasing Group. That's a place where you can buy materials, buy boilers, buy radiators, and you get massive, massive trade discounts. Okay, so you can join that. Now, pricing up a refurb is not as difficult as you think, and it will get easier and easier and easier as time goes by, just like anything gets easier as time goes by. So what I do is I always go room by room. How much is that room going to cost to paint, decorate, new carpet? How much is that room going to cost? How much is that room going to cost? How much is that room going to cost? And how much is that room going to cost? Then I will put my offer forward on the basis that I've worked out roughly what things are going to cost. I always add at least 20% to contingency. So if the refurb I'm calculating is coming in at £10,000, I would actually work my figures out on £12,000. Okay? I then put my offer forward on that basis.
All makes total sense. So what would you say then? You're going around, key things, you've mentioned plastering.
Yeah, plastering.
You've mentioned, which I think we all can see whether a wall needs plastering or not.
Plastering, let me give you an idea of that. Typically, to plaster a room, will cost a standard size sort of 80 to 90 square foot room will cost 150 to 250 pounds, depending if you do the ceiling or not.
Ceiling makes it a lot.
The ceiling does add a bit of price to it because it's they add a bit on for that. But if it's just the walls, maybe 150 to 180 pounds, depending if they're doing all of the house or if it's just a one-off.
Yeah. So, what about if you need to add, say, stud walls?
Stud walls.
Well, we had a stud wall done recently. It took about, I think it took about a day.
Yeah, it doesn't take much. A stud wall will cost, again, depending on the size, any £700,000, depending on the size. But you're not talking thousands, you're talking maximum £1,000, okay?
Yeah, ours didn't cost that much.
No, it didn't, did it?
No.
Again, shop around, get good prices. The other things, if you've got to put fire doors, I know fire doors, budget £350 for a fire door frames, and the correct door handles and door closers would be £350.
Because the doors are quite cheap, aren't they?
Depends on the quality, but yeah, under £100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's obviously for HMO. So yes, you go in. I think the big things, I think most people could learn pretty easily. The things like carpets, painting, plastering. I suppose the big things are where there's an issue with the house. Like, for example, and it'd be a case of probably missing it. So what are the things like look for, like a crack in the wall, for example, on the outside? Is that structural damage? Is it not? I suppose it's things.
It depends. So if you go to a property and there's cracking on the exterior of the wall, like I would look at it and I would see if I can find the problem, but I'm not going to buy it unless I've had a surveyor look at it.
So something like that, you want a surveyor to go.
100%.
You're not going to.
100%. No. I would always get somebody who's more qualified at the structure of a building to assess that. Yeah. When it comes to the refurbishment, I'll easily price up within 20 minutes how much the inside is going to cost. Roughly, it's not exact, it's rough, okay? And
sort of a big things to look for. Electricals you've mentioned. Yeah. Fuse boards. You've mentioned.
Bathrooms.
Bathrooms, kitchen.
Bathrooms.
Bathrooms are surprisingly not expensive. I always find. Yeah.
You can buy a bathroom suite, bath, toilet, stand-up shower cubicle, tiling for about maybe £1,000, £1,100, and then maybe whatever labour to fit it. So I would definitely under £2,000 to install a bathroom suite and potentially an ensuite in there as well. And then kitchen, again, if you buy right, so using LMPG, using good trades, you can get a 10-unit kitchen for a couple of £1,000. Like the days of spending 10 grand on a kitchen are no more.
But that's a lot of people can make use of the kitchen, make use of the existing kitchen, can't you? That's what they did on the eviction. They made use of they painted the cupboard doors,
they painted the cupboard doors and changed the handles, which was very, very cheap. So remember, if you're doing this for buy to let, the kitchen is probably going to be the highest wearing room in the property. because it gets the most use. Drawers getting opened and slammed, all that sort of stuff, okay? Worktops getting scratched, where people cutting their food up without using a chopping board, etc., etc., etc. So perhaps don't go crazy on the stuff that you install. Again, save money. If you can get away with keeping all the base units or the carcasses and just changing the actual worktops and the door faces, do that. That will save you a lot of money.
If you go in and it's an absolute state, are you thinking a couple of grand here?
It depends on the size, but yeah, I would be budgeting £3,500 to £4,500 for a standard sort of galley 10 unit kitchen. Yeah. And that includes white goods as well. That includes the goods. Yeah. So, and I know some of you will say, Alistair, you're crazy. Think that. I don't care, but that's what I'm paying.
Alistair, you're crazy.
I've got receipts that prove that that's what I've been paying. So, yeah. But I think the key here with refurbishment is having a good power team and having a good builder that you can call upon, and you can say, hey, Mr. Builder, this is the property. Send a video to them.
What a coincidence. His name is literally Mr. Builder. Yeah. What? And then he became a builder. What a thought.
But what you want is you want a good builder in your team that you can just ring up and say, look, we've got this property we're looking at. I'm going to send you a video. Can you give me a rough estimation of what it's going to cost? Now, always, right, whenever you're doing a refurb, you're going to find more problems, okay? Because when you start taking things apart, mysterious problems occur. So when you take tiling off wall, you'll find damp. When you take a bathroom suite out, you might find that the plug hole's been leaking and it's caused the joist underneath to become damp, and you have to replace that joist. So always factor in contingencies into everything you do.
20%.
20%, yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, and be prepared sometimes that if you've got a problem, you're not going to put your build on delay, so you have to deal with it. You just have to deal with it.
You need spare cash on the hand.
Yeah, I agree with that. Or the ability to find it, okay? And the other thing as well is when you're a good power team, a good builder, and the more you use a builder, the better your quotes will get. They'll come down and down and down. If you keep using them, they'll get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And don't go for the cheapest builder, okay? Because you pay cheap, you pay twice. Get 3 quotes. Don't always go with the cheapest. Go with personal recommendation. Ask around. Ask in our property investors with Samuel Leeds. Ask on here. Do you know what I mean? Anyone recommend a builder? Put it in the comments. Anyone recommend a builder in Leeds, for instance? Personal recommendation, always go and see their work, either current jobs or past jobs. It's really important to make sure that when you go and look at the work, you assess what's going on and the condition of what's going on. Are they a clean worker? Do they look after the property? Are they staying to schedule? Again, really, really important to have a schedule of works, so you know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, when they're expecting to be paid, and also have a contract in place that lays all of that out. Really, really important. And if you're using bridging finance, you will need a schedule of works before they'll approve certain financing.
Cool, awesome. Well, guys, hope you found that really super helpful. If you're out there doing buy, refurbish, refinances, we'd love to hear your experience from quoting up jobs, and if you've hit it on the nail on the head or if you've been way off. But comment below, let us know what you think. Right, it's now time for this. So in the news this week, it's about the eviction ban. This is the headline. Eviction ban prompts My Property Box to introduce rent guarantee scheme. My Property Box is advising landlords in the North East and parts of North Yorkshire that evictions involving properties in areas of higher coronavirus restrictions have been suspended, while bailiffs are unable to obtain possession from tenants following a court order in properties situated in Tier 2 and Tier 3 areas. The eviction process is still able to proceed through the courts in readiness for when restrictions are eased. It follows bailiffs' trade body, the High Court Enforcement Officer Association, agreeing a request from Justice Secretary Rob Buckley not to carry evictions in areas classified as having high or very high rates of the COVID-19 infection. The NRL Association is already pressing the UK government to introduce a hardship loan scheme to help tenants pay off any coronavirus-related rent arrears. Oh, that's a good idea.
I think that's a good idea. Again, I say this every single time. I think the government have actually done a really good job of providing funding and helping the economy by all these grants, incentives, loans, etc., etc. I think they have done a good job on that side of things.
I wonder if this is a fantastic opportunity for rent-to-renters. So let's say I approach you as a landlord and I say, hey, Alistair, landlord, obviously, I can tell by your face you don't even know where I'm going with this, do you?
No.
Okay. You say,
but I'm interested. I am very interested in what you're about to say. Go on.
So at the moment, they've got a restriction on evicting tenants.
Yes.
So if you have a tenant move in and they just refuse to pay you, you won't be able to do anything. They'll just live there rent-free.
They will, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I'm actually offering a corporate let agreement. So the contract isn't with a tenant. By the way, this is thinking out loud here, right?
Yeah.
The contract's with me, my business, which means that you can evict me. So I'm going to enter into a contract where I guarantee I'll pay you. And if I don't, you can just kick me out and there's nothing I can do because there's not actually a tenant living there. How does that sound?
Do you know what? Yeah, I like that because it's not an AST, so you don't have to comply with the AST rules, and they can't convict, they can't evict. But with a business agreement, it's a completely different terms and conditions.
It's corporate let.
It's corporate let. It's a business agreement. It's
tenants'
a business
rights
term.
disappear.
Yeah. 100%.
Suddenly, you've got the best selling point. I mean, that's a good selling point anyway.
Oh, wow, that's really good, mate. That's really good. God, you are quite smart sometimes.
Oh, do you know,
You do come out with these little blinders sometimes, I must admit. Not very often, but you do come out with these little blinders now and again.
Maybe we'll research that and talk about it on next week's show properly, if it is the case.
I think we should. I think that's really, really good. So, look, great. I think it's good. More to come on that, I think.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right, it's now time for this. Okay, so it's now time for your questions and our answers. So let's have a look at some of the questions that have come in. These have come in on our YouTube channel. So the first is from Hugh Rowe Jones, and he says, please do a video on refurb costs. We listened.
Just watch the start of this show.
Yeah. Ensuite versus no ensuite. I haven't seen any videos on this. Understand it will vary hugely based on what work needs to be done, but great to have a rough idea. So there you go, man.
Okay, I'll give you. I didn't talk about en-suites really in the lead up to this, so I'll discuss it now. Typically, en-suites will add about £1,500 to £1,800 to a refurb. Okay, for every en-suite. So it is the biggest cost in the plumbing system on a HMO when you're doing refurb. So factor that in, £1,500 to £1,800, I believe, okay? From my experience, I'm doing a 5-bed HMO at the minute, and it's considerably put the cost up on the plumbing system. So yeah.
Cool. Aral Oddy says, is London Zone 1 and 2 a good area to get a rent-to-rent deal nowadays?
It depends. Rent-to-rent HMO, rent-to-rent service accommodation, it depends.
Problem with rent service accommodation is Zone 1 and 2, you're smack bang in the 90-day rule.
Yeah, you'd struggle with that to do it from a legal point of view. Rent-to-rent HMO, of course, if you can find them and the numbers stack, I don't care where it is. The numbers just have to stack. So as long as the numbers stack, you can rent it out, you're going to pay the landlord X. Yeah, there's massive demand for HMOs in Zone 1, Zone 2, subject to local conditions, local planning, and local HMO licensing laws. So yeah, of course, absolutely. Okay, again, from Ariel Aldi. Guys, when you have a rent-to-rent property and get an agent to manage it for you, do they always find the tenants for you, or do you have to find the tenants yourself? If you get an agent to manage it, it depends what you agree when you instruct them to manage your property. Now, one of my management companies, they don't do tenant finding. They just do the management of the tenants once they're in. So I have somebody else find the tenants for me. And that's actually a friend of mine that lives in the area that will happily find tenants but don't want to manage. So it's a bit of a mixed match, but that's how I do it.
That's really weird.
Yeah.
I've never known anything like that.
They probably do it, but I don't want to pay the £250 for them to find a tenant.
Oh, so they do it.
I don't know, but I remember when I first started, they were struggling to get tenants, okay? So it's probably a case of they do it, I'm just a bit tight. But yeah,
that sounds about right.
Companies will generally find, but they'll charge you a tenant finder fee. That can be anything from £250 to £500. I've seen higher fees than that as well in bigger areas. So yeah, they definitely do.
Lovely.
Okay. Ample Exchange Solutions from 6 days ago. If you're co-sourcing, must you both be compliant?
No.
Yes. No. You don't.
Say,
that was confusing. No, you don't have to be compliant, okay?
Because do you have to be compliant? Yes, you don't. What?
I meant yes, I agree. Okay, the answer to your question is you do not have to be compliant. The reason being is because you will never deal with finances or even know the name of the person buying that deal. You simply present a deal to the compliant person who then deals with the financial aspect of the deal, okay? It all depends how you set it up. So if you are dealing with the financial aspects of a deal and you are dealing with an investor, then yes, you do. If you're not, then no, you don't.
There you go. You heard it here first.
Right,
guys, thanks ever so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to subscribe. You can check us out on YouTube, Spotify, all over the place. We're everywhere. We're here.
We get around.
Every week. We get around. We get around. We get around. And on that bombshell, and me singing, I never should have done that. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.